To change the border and cell color on one of your tables, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your table and you're going to want to click on the options that you see in the upper right corner. Now, if your screen is zoomed in or not wide enough, you might notice that the table options aren't there, in which case you can click on More, and now I can change background color, border width, or border dash. If you zoom out with Control minus, I've got a little bit more room on my table there, so now I don't have to click More to get those options, but they are still there. So let's start with background color. So I'm going to take my header row right here, and I'm going to add a dark gray background to there. So I'm going to go over here where it says background color, and I'm going to do that. So now I've changed the individual part right there. If I want to change the border, I'm going to do the same thing, except over here I'm going to go to border color, and maybe now I'll change that to, let's go with a nice pink. Now it's pretty thin there. I could make that a little bit thicker if I wanted by changing that there. If I wanted to change it so it's just a dashed line as well, I also have that option right there. A lot of different options are available. Another way that I could do is I could click on the table, right click, and I could go down to Table Properties. Now I have a whole bunch of different things here. Now I've got my column width and my minimum row height. These are all things that I could do to manually adjust the exact cell widths and heights if I want, if I didn't like doing the dragging that we did before. Now, what I do right here is if I want to change the border for the entire table, not just the cells I select, the entire table, I'm going to do it right here. So let's go with that nice, beautiful pink, and we'll change it to 3-point right there. If I hit OK, now it's done it for the entire table. That one's just a little bit thicker because there's a page break in the middle, but don't worry about that. We can deal with that later. Now, from here, I could also just change individual cells and then cell background color orange, but that's no different than if I just selected them right here and did cell background color orange there. Now from right-clicking in Properties, I also have the option where I want the table. Do I want the table itself on the left, center, or right? Now I'm not talking about what's inside the table. I'm talking about the actual table itself. Here it is centered on the page, and here it is pushed to the right side of the page. Okay, now I could get into some more advanced things. Let's say I only want to change the borders on just a couple different cells. So let's do this right here. I'm going to select this top row here, and now instead of going into the properties or up there, I'm going to click on this little drop-down arrow here, and now it's going to ask me to select the borders that I want. So if I did it like this, it would select all borders. Here it would just do the outside borders, and here it would do the top and the bottom. I'll show you what I mean right here. If I select that, you'll notice that all of these have turned blue. Now if I want, I could remove certain ones from there, and I'm going to do that like this, and you'll understand why in just a moment. So what I've done is by holding down the Control button, I deselected several of the lines separating the table. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to turn this border right here white. So now you'll notice that my window has significantly shrunk and I don't have as many options. But now I'm going to change that border color to white. Now when I deselect, you can sort of see why. Now, even though this is still part of a table, those are still cells, I've sort of deselected them and made it look as though they are floating above the top and the bottom. Now I could go and I could do that for other things as well. So I have my image in this as well. So I'm going to select all of these right here, and I'm going to click on that little drop down up there. And now I'm just going to do the vertical border right here. So it's only going to select these. And again, I could go up here, change that white, so that now they're floating. If I take this text and I justify it to the right, now you'll see that I've got the name and I've got the image right there, and they almost look like they're together. Could do one step further and go to my properties and align everything inside the cells to the middle. Now you can see we're starting to get a pretty nice table where it looks like the image and the actual words in there are sort of floating together. So I'm going to undo that and show you that I do have a lot of options for what I want to do. So here I'm going to select all my text. I'm going to click on that drop down. Now I'm just going to do the internal borders, and I have the ability right here to go through and deselect what I don't want. So I'm holding down the Control button, and I want to keep some borders but not others. So what I'm going to do within these is I'm going to change those to be white so it looks like they're not really there. So there's a lot of different options I can do by selecting and then using Control to click away the borders that I do or don't want to format.